I know that some of you gentlemen are still online and that you're still waiting, and I see at least 12 of you here. I don't know what's really going on. I don't want to believe that I'm having a cyber attack. I don't want to believe that. So I wouldn't play the conspiracies game, but it's a little funny that last week I had pretty much this exact same situation where I was unable to finish my lecture because my network just went down and it was working perfectly fine all this while. Same thing has happened again this morning, but I shall be taking steps to do something about it. However, what I have done is put out a new link, which some of you have evidently started using, but I'm sure that there are a few others who would have to play catch up and be joining us. So I will stick to the time I've advertised on the new link as the start up time, which is meant to be quarter past the hour. So we do have 8 minutes during which we'll find out pretty much if we are going to be allowed to have these in peace or if I would have to constantly change my location so that I may not present such an easy target. Or maybe I'll just have to invest in the necessary software, which is another thing. Anyway, knowledge is never ever cheap. This happens. So I don't know, but for my Yoruba language version is already disrupted, really, if the truth be told. And because there is always a need to have it subtitled, I'm going to take the time to record that. It wouldn't be live. I'll record that and have my my dear friend who handles my translations and captioning, Mrs. Abishola Ojo, I'll let her handle that and then we would upload it for all of us. It's just really unfortunate sometimes that even the basic things like talking to ourselves seems like such a difficult thing to be able to put together in the country we call Nigeria. MTN will tell you I'm using 5G. Whether it's their own failing or whether it's the state failing, I can't tell. But for the benefit of those that with whom I was speaking, the Yoruba language session, nǹkan tí màá sọ fún yín ni pé igi kan kì í dágbó ṣe. Igi kan kì í dágbó ṣe. Gani couldn't have done anything on his own. He had a society that enabled him. That society is the one that we actually need to be talking about when we're talking about our Yoruba and our English language session. So those of you who are just joining, you bear with me. I couldn't complete my Yoruba language session, and of course, this is a new link. I'm just testing it out. If you are from my generation and you are a Shriner betrayer like me in my time, if you used to go to the shrine, you remember that before Fela would start his sessions, there'll be Abish. That's the part where he just talks, you know. And I used to have that session. That was when we used to talk about the week that was. And then I gave up the week that was to be doing the Yoruba language session because I felt like that was something that I have to be doing. I can't just continue speaking Dogon Turenchi to those of you with whom I've been speaking forever. If I'm not speaking to you, you've always had books, you've had essays. So it was necessary to speak to my Yoruba people. But since we have this time on our hand this morning, let's speak a little about the weeks that have been. Should we do that? How about the prophet without honor in his own town? You missed the point. I'm talking about Gatiku, whose son saw the light and decided that he'd rather leave the PDP to go to the APC. And he's singing on his mandate. That makes for a pretty awkward dinner table, don't you think? A prophet truly has no honor. in his own home. And please, by all means, Oga Atiku, don't take it personal. I remember the times when I preached and preached and preached, and I couldn't even convince my wife against voting APC. Not only did she vote APC, she voted Buhari, and so did my mother, by the way. So don't worry. I can understand how a prophet really truly has no honor in his own home. Almost all of my best friends ended up voting Buhari and the APC, and they compounded it again. Mm. But again, that's the week that was, Oga Atiku. Oh, should we poke our nose into the fight next door? Yes, now. The simpleton and the wicked. Now, that's something. I remember telling you from day one, don't get involved in these their fights. It was never about the people, and the people were never, ever, ever, ever going to get anything out of that fight. They were the prize. It's almost like asking the antelopes and the reindeers. No, you don't have reindeers where the antelopes exist, but imagine asking the praise, right? The springboks, the antelopes, to be clapping and be the spectator where lions are fighting. Who's the prize? Who's on the menu? That's what you're doing when you get involved in the wicked and the simpletons fight. Stay away from it. Just watch it for the instructions that it offers you. I believe it is that I am actually being monitored now. I don't believe this is a coincidence anymore. I think it's safe to conclude that people who are stronger than MTN are interested in what happens to this network. But don't worry, it's the last time anyone's going to be able to do this. If we can't do this today, we'll do it another time. But for now, I will slog on. I will slog on. But hey, somebody was asking, Uganda. Oh, what happened in Uganda shows you what dictators always do when the will of the people is discounted in what is called a democracy. Something was happened to you in 2023, so you don't really need to travel so far to Uganda to find what happens when dictators run riots. Hmm? You don't need to travel all the way to Uganda. So that was the week that was. If I was prepared to talk about all the inanities that happens in our country on a weekly basis, I'll find myself incapable of doing that which I had set for myself. So this morning, if we're allowed by the powers that be in our land, the ones who decide what network work and which one does not, we would have our talk this morning. So I believe that it's 10:14 now. Yep. So let's get it going. Please do share that link so that others who have missed out on the earlier one will be aware that we're about to start now. Good morning, everybody, once again. I don't know how many times you've heard me say good morning already. If you were with us earlier on, you would have been aware that there was some sort of disruption to my network. But it's the Yoruba language version that has been affected by that. And as I have promised my audience, I would have that recorded and uploaded during the course of the week. So this week, I would like to talk on the specific subject, the death of men and the death of a nation. But what do I mean? In the course of last week, I had somebody come up to me and they asked me, would there be another Gani Faweyimi? And when they asked that question, I found myself unable to give the usual stock response